Dhoomimal Gallery, established in 1936 by Shri Ram Babu Jain, is India's oldest contemporary art gallery. Initially a meeting hub for artists, it showcased works by renowned figures like M.F. Husain and F.N. Souza. After Shri Jain's death, his son Ravi revitalized the gallery, making significant contributions to Indian contemporary art in the 1970s. Today, under Uday and Uma Jain's leadership, DMG holds a prestigious art collection and supports emerging artists through the Ravi Jain Memorial Trust, continuing its legacy of promoting Indian art globally.
Do continue watching us, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to hit the bell icon. See you very soon again with another episode of a very interesting conversation. Thank you once again. So we welcome you once again to yet another episode of Chaibrary, and amidst us is a beautiful legacy here at the studio at Chaibrary, and I welcome Uma and Jain of Dhoomimal Gallery, who has been associated with the gallery. The gallery has been in existence since 1936, but today we will hear straight from her how she got and she became a journey in Dhoomimal's journey itself. Welcome ma'am to the show and thank you for coming to the studio. So let's begin with your childhood, your studies, your education. I know आप उस वक्त पढ़ रही थी और आपने law किया जब there were very few advocates in the country. हमारी conversations में आपने बताया था your father was your greatest inspiration and he was the one who pushed. तो आप बताइए how it all began as a student and as a advocate.
Well, God has been kind and I have had a very good life. I always thank God every day of my life.
जी.
I really can't ask God for anything better than whether it's career, whether it's family, whether it's this. So, you know my life.
Yeah,
style,
I know, but
my
we want to hear it from you, straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
कि pre-independence से आप लोग कैसे यहाँ आए, and you know how you studied, and you know. Okay, tell us some good incident about your while you were practicing law.
No, that's what I'm saying. That I have whatever field it was, whether it was law or whether it was even at the college level or this, I have been blessed with always a good part of my life which has been for the last almost now 50 years or so. So this, as I said, God has been kind and I don't think there's anything better that I could ask for. But
आप वो इंसिडेंट के बारे में बताइए जो आप एक बार जब आप कोई केस फाइट आउट कर रही थी एंड वो जस्टिस भागवती जी थे या कौन थे who said that he just wanted to listen to you. So let's hear that one small episode from you.
Yeah, this, as I said, even at the law, this also I have had very good parity with
the judges, the colleagues.
Yeah, the colleagues and judges and I always have been of the opinion that this is one of the fields where you can have the best of you for whichever brand you are doing, whichever branch
you're working, or whatever case you're fighting.
Whatever
for
they and
any corporate.
Yeah, and then you and this is a field where you can do all your best. I don't think there is anything better that I, now of course it's more than 30, 40 years, 50 years.
But अभी भी आप recently जाती थी court जहाँ पे आप mediating के लिए काम करती थी.
Every day with मेरा जो है वो दिन पूरा नहीं होता
जी हाँ, जी हाँ.
because you have been part of this and right from the colleagues and judges and whole lot of
Yeah.
this. So even if I don't go for 3 days or 5 days or a week, probably I'll say, दिन जो है वो
Complete नहीं हुआ. So you do, and you do meet your colleagues पुराने
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
cup of coffee or in
Yeah,
the club or something like that.
Yeah. And
Now, coming back to Dhoomimal, Dhoomimal happened to you once you got married and you were already practicing also.
yeah.
आपका वो वक्त बताइए जब आपके यहाँ आर्टिस्ट थे, आप you were closely with working with the gallery and Ravi ji were working with Swaminathan ji
हाँ जी.
and Manu Parekh ji. There were several
Yeah.
artists who were visiting the gallery and हमने तो ये सुना है कि that used to be like one अड्डा, एक
That's
जगह
right.
होती थी जहाँ पे all the artists used to look forward to me कि we know वहाँ पे उमा जी हैं और रवि जी हैं. तो उस वक्त के बारे में थोड़ा सा आप बताइए.
वो बहुत खूबसूरत पीरियड था. And it was really best of both.
जी.
That on the one hand you were practicing law and you had a whole
Bunch of artists
a whole
waiting for
bunch
you.
of artists and also your colleagues and so that way like as I said that being an active lawyer it really sort of helped me a lot even in the beginning, even in the first few years also. I mean, I was at a stage that I could be confident enough to say, all right, this is what
जी,
it is. And,
Tell us something about your time spent with Ravi ji, क्योंकि उस टाइम पे तो कोई गैलरीज होती नहीं थी. Dhoomimal was the only gallery.
yeah, and
So how did you get involved with the gallery? Marriage was one bit.
Yeah.
But tell us more about Ravi ji and you.
gallery also became a part of my life.
जी.
And fortunately, people like Swamiji and so many other
Artists.
senior
Ji.
artists. And the beauty of this was that one, I was given a platform where I sort of be part of, even if it was the first month or first this, I would be part of the whole this.
जी.
चाहे वो स्वामी जी हैं, चाहे वो सूजा है, चाहे वो भी है, तो उस तरह से जो है it didn't take me any effort to sort of
Settle down with the whole gang. जी हाँ, जी हाँ.
So that way God had been kind and God has been kind even
जी,
till today.
Tell us about the visitors who visited the gallery आपके टाइम पे, जब आप पूरा टाइम आप देती थी गैलरी को.
You know,
उस टाइम का वर्किंग में और अभी का वर्किंग में.
I don't think there's too much of a difference.
Okay.
Because maybe even 10, 15, 20 years back also. One was that this was one of the galleries which was always but very happy and
Active.
Yeah.
There was always noise in the gallery.
And there was always people walking
Coming in and
in and out and they look forward to कि रवि जी होंगे या मैं होंगी.
जी जी.
तो उस तरह से जो है वो we have had or with all the colleagues and with all the people who were senior artists also, there's Swaminathan and a whole lot of other people. So उनके साथ भी उतनी ही parity थी
जी हाँ.
कि हालांकि उस टाइम नए ही होते थे हम लोग
जी हाँ.
उसमें. It was sort of a beautiful relationship between even the senior artists and
the gallery and the people at the gallery. जी हाँ. I believe and I have read also that there were lots of celebrities, whether they were political or whether they were art critics or
Yes.
they were authors or writers. they had a very constant association.
Yes.
How did Dhoomimal make them comfortable?
Well, Dhoomimal sort of was, and even today is, one of the oldest galleries.
Ji, ji.
So the relationship also with people like Swaminathan, Souza,
Ji.
also was to that extent very close with all these people.
Ji, haan, ji, haan.
I don't think there was a week or 10 days or anything that we never met or we never sort of.
In fact, Jamini ji also, I believe he gifted you. आप बताती थी कि जब आप शादी करके गई थी तो आपको उन्होंने एक साड़ी गिफ्ट करी थी जो उन्होंने खुद बनाया था. So I'm sure they must have really. These are examples of the closeness that the family, the Jain family, shared with the artist during that time.
No, even this, even Swamiji also. Swamiji also, it's something very beautiful that he was much more senior and this. But he was so confident कि भवानी जी क्योंकि वो तब भारत भवन चले गए थे. But he also was so confident of this that Bhavani ji and children would be looked after
by the family, by Ravi ji and you.
So even Bharat Bhavan, I mean, if he would be, he was always very happy with me also, you know, to कि वहाँ पर आज ये फंक्शन हो रहा है तो तुम्हारा आना ज़रूरी है.
अच्छा.
So उस तरह से जो है ये नहीं, he would involve you. Yeah, he would involve you that like as if you are also part of the Bharat Bhavan.
That's so nice of him, Anji.
So and I mean, of course I was a young lawyer that time, and but it was really became कि भवानी जी हैं वहाँ तो उनका भी देखना है कि स्वामी जी तो वहाँ बैठे हुए हैं लेकिन उनको तो घर चलाना है जी. So तो उस तरह से जो है the relationship between all of us was good enough to sort of that you can't do anything better.
जी.
You know, whether it is...
and there was loyalty and there was a mutual respect for each other, whether it was the gallery or whatever.
Because, I mean, like, the beautiful thing was that you didn't ever feel that you were heavy with something at your hand. On the contrary, I mean, it was कि अच्छा लगता था कि अरे हाँ ये चीज़ रह गई थी ना उसको कर लिया.
But that's so much of thoughtfulness and kindness on the part of the gallery.
Yeah.
जो बहुत कम लोग शायद pursue करते होंगे. But I think that's why Dhoomimal has a legacy, and that's why it's called a legacy in itself, because उन्होंने ये precedent set किया है, चाहे कोई follow करे ना करे. But I think Dhoomimal does follow that precedent which was set so many more years ago. आप बताइए, ma'am, that was it the community of the artists जो आपके साथ थे उस time पे, did they influence you a lot to get into art, or was it the love for Ravi ji and his gallery?
I would be very confident in that it was both.
It was both. Okay.
One was that law, of course, by that time was my portfolio.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the relationship with all these artists and group of
visitors,
serious
writers and critics and authors.
But by that time I had picked up enough of
learning from them,
them, which also became part of the gallery. That like whatever things we were planning for the gallery.
The events or whatever.
The events from time to time, or who are the artists who are coming from various parts of the country.
जी जी
तो उस तरह से जो है वो नहीं था, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी
जी जी
टू
एक्सपैट्स थे, आपके एम्बेसडर्स आते थे।
व्हाट्स नहीं, और काफ़ी मतलब एवरी ब्रांच ऑफ पीपल जितने भी
आई बिलीव इंदिरा गांधी जी आल्सो विजिटेड द शो वन,
शी आल्सो केम, और काफ़ी आए हैं विजिटर्स सॉर्ट ऑफ।
आई एम श्योर आप उनसे बात करती होंगी और कम्युनिकेट करती होंगी, तो उनका इंटरेक्शन कैसा होता होगा? Well, like, was it the political side of?
No, I was very happy that way. That most of the people whom I dealt with, of course, sometimes they were much more senior than I was then, but at the same time, I had no inhibition to sort of, that was, God was very kind in the way that I was confident enough, and
at every stage,
whether it was senior
interacting with senior artists or with the celebrities or politicians.
तो वो सब जो है ना, as I said, God was kind, and even till today, I mean, I have had no problem as far as dealing with this is concerned.
Take us through how you would plan your events and how we plan our events now. So what was the difference?
No, I don't think, only thing is one has to use your brain and sort of find which is the good this for. So that way, of
course, a good
course,
exhibition or a good catalog.
That of course became part of it straight away. Because once, apart from law, it became part of the gallery.
I know you were very well educated, and your English was very good, and I'm sure the publications that did come out.
So that's what I'm saying, that it was, I would never treat के अलग-अलग चीज़ थी. I mean, for me, whether it was art or law, it really became part of me.
So you lived law in the morning, and post lunch it was like gallery for you. उस वक्त जो coverages होते थे हमारे मीडिया में या newspapers में, were they different? I mean, we did get a lot of visitors हमारे shows में.
We had both ways. I mean, the people who were coming were very senior class of people who were coming to the gallery for the gallery. And because they knew
the collection, of course.
And all of them, you know, were fairly from various parts of the
world
country.
And the country also.
And so that way we had a very good parity with
the visitors, with the collectors. And
जैसे Souza साहब आए या बाकी भी मतलब थे सारे.
आर्टिस्ट तो शायद वहीं लिव ही करते थे शायद एक टाइम पे. They knew कि भाई 4 बजे उमा जी आएंगी, कोर्ट के बाद फिर खाना खाएंगे.
वो जो है तो ये होता था कि वेंगर्स साथ में है, वेंगर्स पे.
I know your old memories of Wengers.
So it was just this
block away.
And so यही होता था कि अभी स्वामी जी आ गए, उसके बाद मनु पारेख आ गए या जो भी आता गया, तो अगल बगल में जितने लोग हैं उनको ये होता था कि जो भी खाना मंगाना चाहेंगे वो आ जाएगा. So you didn't have to wait for.
So that was Dhoomimal's hospitality of that time. इस चीज़ को आज भी काफ़ी आर्टिस्ट याद करते हैं और बहुत fondly remember करते हैं. I think you've been a blessing to the gallery, and blessings that we've received from these people, you know, who have probably eaten or who waited to be there at the right time. because everybody goes through that struggle. And like you say, God's been kind with you at every stage. He truly has been kind, because
That is
you
true.
were able to share your kindness and your fruitfulness.
That's
with
what I
lot of
was saying
people.
ना कि जैसे स्वामी जी वहाँ चले गए थे और भवानी जी यहाँ थी.
बच्चों के
Until
साथ,
that time these children also were not independent as such. I
Correct,
mean
correct.
it's तो बट ये रिलेशनशिप हम लोगों का इतना अच्छा था
जी.
कि भवानी जी को आई डोंट थिंक देयर वाज एनी डे व्हेन शी हैड टू लुक फॉर इसके कहाँ से मंगाऊँ मैं, यू नो, लाइक
Yeah.
समथिंग.
Yeah.
तो मेरे को रवि जी का वो होता था कि तुम जो है वो आते जाते ना उनको
मिलते आना या जो भी है.
तो उस तरह से जो है God had been kind and we had very good relationship,
Yeah,
both
yeah.
in law and the art.
Another thing that has been there from your time,
Yeah.
is the staff. I believe the staff who had worked with Ravi ji,
Yeah.
even their next generations
Yeah.
are presently working.
That's right.
So that's a real, an example of both loyalty. It's both ways. It's mutual. You take care of them, and they find the family in the organization.
Yeah, that has been, God has been kind, and we have had, even till today,
जी.
whether it is भवानी जी और वो तो अब बहुत मतलब पुरानी हो गई, लेकिन अभी तक भी अगर उनके बेटे हैं या
Yeah.
वो है, उनके साथ भी अभी तक वही का वही रहता है.
Yeah, yeah.
कि it's so that way. And for me, even to sort of go on with the gallery in the same way,
Yeah.
along with my law of this
Profession. जी.
with I was able to manage.
You were able to manage beautifully.
Yeah.
And you brought up a beautiful son also, who then took over
He's,
from you.
he, of course, is going much ahead of me.
Yeah, times have changed.
Yeah,
ma'am,
because if I choose between my law and gallery,
जी.
but he is now thoroughly
Into the gallery. Yeah.
into the gallery, and
so that's all come from you and the teachings and
Yeah.
the genes of Ravi ji.
yeah.
Now coming back to early demise of Ravi ji, and you burdened with everything, the gallery and the law that you were practicing. Actually, you are an inspiration for all of us. I mean, I truly mean that.
I would really say God has been kind, as you know, and we all know कि कोई भी field होगा, you have to involve yourself fully into it if you really want to be part of it. तो वो जो था ना, fortunately, Ravi ji passed away slightly early, and but all the same, God had been kind, because even later, जितने भी आर्टिस्ट थे, स्वामीनाथन थे या सूजा थे, जो भी थे, I had full sort of regard for all of them, and
They supported you through a difficult
yeah.
time. I mean, it was
So-
more or less a moral support that you needed from them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you've been a very strong personality in
yeah,
your own
I mean,
self.
it's I have had a good time, चाहे artists हैं, चाहे lawyers हैं.
जी.
I mean, God had been kind, and I have really, I mean, I would not say that there could be anything better that God could give
Do.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Coming back now to you meeting all these older artists.
Yeah.
जब आप उनको अब मिलती हैं, कुछ लोग तो रहे भी नहीं, पर I think do they share the same warmth? And are you able to begin a conversation from where you last spoke to them?
yeah. वो बहुत अच्छा रहा है.
जी.
क्योंकि यहाँ पर क्या होता था कि दिन में मैं कोर्ट से आ जाती थी, 12-1 बजे तक
जी.
आ जाते थे. तो और हमारे जो ये आर्टिस्ट कैटेगरी थी
जी
उनको भी पता होता था कि मैं आ जाऊंगी बाय 12:30 1 o'clock।
जी
तो हम लोगों के यहाँ 12-1 बजे से लेके और शाम के 4-5 बजे तक पूरी मजलिस रहती
जमती
थी।
जी जी
तो उस तरह से मेरा आर्टिस्ट और क्लाइंट्स के साथ भी जो है अच्छा वो हुआ कि
I think this was the way the gallery was growing.
Yeah.
And this was the way you were also growing,
Yeah.
trying to, learn the handling of the artists.
Correct.
And, getting to know them more. And
not only know them, even whatever they were giving to the gallery,
Yeah.
or they were bringing whosoever was bringing their
Works.
paintings or
Yeah.
this. So that way, and if I have had some people who needed something
जी
in particular in those, so they
You
were
could
also
source from them,
yeah,
yeah.
so they were also happy to do it.
yeah, yeah.
तो उस तरह से जो है अच्छा
How did Dhoomimal, while you were practicing, you were being part of the gallery, you were doing exhibitions, your publications. I believe there used to be a tabloid
right.
a publication like a newsletter,
Right.
which lots of people actually have stored, and they've kept it like a memorabilia.
Right.
So, how was it that you were finding out some kind of a direction or laying path of a direction for the gallery? How did that happen to you? I mean, were you working on it, or was it a gradual?
Well, I would say both. It was gradual also. At the same time, I was, by that time I had sort of
Mastered.
Yeah, I had already sort of become part of the gallery.
Ji, ji.
And over a period of time, like Souza or other senior artists, so you had a lot of
Feedback,
time to,
interaction.
a lot of
Yeah.
time with these people too. And so that also gave me for longer
Planning and a vision for
longer
the gallery.
planning, longer context with these people,
Ji.
and whatever you could do in that time. So that way, I was fairly lucky with a whole lot of people like Souza.
Their suggestions, their feedbacks, their working with the gallery,
and,
interaction with the gallery.
So that way, I had even with your interaction every day. Like I used to come back to the gallery soon after the court when I was free. So then I used to spend 2-3 hours, like
Serving
discussing.
lunch from home?
And then we'll have some discussions and this. So that also helped me a lot with.
I know the galleries had a tradition of the khana coming from the
Yeah.
house, and
Yeah.
it would come for everybody.
Yeah,
it was not only for the people eating,
Yeah, that's true.
but it wasn't numbered. It was
yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and then it not only was eating food ourselves, but it was it also then created a platform for us to discuss also things.
Yeah.
Because then you will be khana was one part of it, but
But the bonding
yeah,
and the working
then,
together, it created that atmosphere.
And everybody is working, so खाना भी सबको अच्छा लगता है
जी हाँ, जी हाँ.
इकट्ठे बैठते हैं तो वो होता है तो उस तरह से I had a good rapport with and they were quite senior people also
जी.
तो उनके साथ भी अच्छी parity हो गई थी कि
जी हाँ.
तो उस तरह से जो है I have found myself very comfortable with
Yeah.
with,
I know that you have not stopped working,
Yeah.
and even in the gallery, if anybody comes
Yeah.
to discuss with you, And I know Uday has been a person
Yeah.
who has never left you out of any discussions.
That's true.
तो जब आप ये baton उनको transfer कर रही थी, what was the feeling that time?
I really didn't have to take
Say
a-
anything
yeah.
to him, had
No,
you?
and not only that, because he had been part of me even now before you can say 2 to 3 years.
जी जी
तो उस तरह से जो है वो he was by himself also he was fairly
Active and,
active and he had picked up enough in the last 3-4 years. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure he has picked up much more than I would have done.
Yeah, but उस time पे वक्त अलग था.
हाँ.
You know, art was a luxury. Now also it's a luxury, but those times, you know, to make people aware about art
Yeah.
itself was a big thing. And you've played your innings very, very well, and I congratulate you for it.
Thank you.
And I will now be introducing your son Uday Jain to
Yeah.
the show. But before we leave, I would like to ask you, what do you feel about this platform Chaibrary? आज आपको आके कैसा लगा? What do you think we are doing?
I am very happy because and you have taken it as a very good platform to this, because this is something which is required every year actually it should be
जी जी
sort of taken care of, to say maybe what are the other things you want to or even you can suggest as to for bringing more people or different type of this
art related
yeah.
practitioners. Yeah. Let's see what your grandchildren say when they watch this.
Yeah.
So not only for them, but it's going to be fed to a lot of audiences
Yeah, that's
who
true.
always want to know
Yeah.
about, you know, what a legacy is, how it was created.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming here, ma'am, and we really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Yeah. And
Namaskar.
God has been kind, and I feel that we'll get the gallery still further.
Definitely,
Yes,
definitely. It will just grow to its different more milestones.
And also now with Uday and Sulena and
Yeah.
a whole lot of the family, I'm sure we'll go on to much higher this
Heights.
with
Yes.
the-
It's truly your blessing that has been there, and we all are blessed and touched by your presence here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, welcome to the show, Uday Jain, who's directed Dhoomimal Gallery. And now the legacy's baton lies with you. So, the relay is being run. So, tell us, how do you feel when you took over from Umaji? And I'm sure you must be playing around in the gallery when you were a young boy. So, nothing to be taught as such, but you must have learned so much from the environ there. Or how was the feeling of this?
Right, so it was always like there was never any other choice. It was always that I will join the gallery. You of course know my passion for sports or other things, but it was always certain that growing up at the gallery, interacting with the artists, playing with them, or just interacting with them, it was always certain that this is what I was kind of meant to do. At that time there were really no formal courses which dealt with management on art, so really no formal education there. I did go to Berkeley and do a short art appreciation course, but yeah, it was all the experience just being at the gallery and just seeing things growing up. Even though again when I entered the gallery or started running the gallery, it was a major changing phase in Indian art, because I kind of finished my education in 2003. So 2003, 2004 was when I was just kind of taking over the gallery formally. And 2005, 2006 was a phase when prices drastically started changing. Auctions were becoming more and more important, more and
New
more
entities
relevant.
of
Yeah, and the whole way of like the way the art business was run or was seen was changing drastically. So in some ways it was good and in some ways it was bad. It was good in the sense because at that time we opened the new space at G Block, and there were lots of exhibitions, there was very good energy, there were very good sales. You would just kind of turn up to the gallery and there'll be new buyers from all different segments who were not looking at art so far, but the numbers were really getting to them and they were getting very interested in art suddenly, more from the financial side than the passion side. But in some ways, and whether it was Oceans, whether it was Bodhi Art, there were lots of these newer players, or there were lots of these players which were making the commerce side of art very relevant, which is very different from what we had seen while growing up.
It's an important aspect
Correct,
to the whole.
correct. So because from what we had seen growing up was that art was something to be loved and something with a lot of passion, but it always had a very small niche. So the numbers definitely made it reach wider, and the people who weren't looking at art so much started looking at art, like from, I think, 10 or 15 galleries in late 90s to early 2000s. I think there was a survey in 2006 which said there were almost like 145 basement and regular galleries in Delhi. So there was this sudden upsurge and this interest in art. So for me, as someone who had recently taken over, it was a bit of a dicey situation, because at that time it did seem very easy, and some decisions I feel we would have made in terms of selling certain things or something which one might not have made a few years later. But at that time the adrenaline was that high that everyone was selling frantically. And
there was a boom in the art
correct.
market. So that's what...
For certain artists, why I say that it was negative in certain ways, because for certain artists and certain good artists, it took a lot of time for them to kind of recover from a bit of a setback that happened after this sudden hype in prices. Someone which comes to mind, which are good artists like a Chitravan Majumdar, or a lot of contemporary artists who were selling well, but suddenly went to that 10x price, or even a senior artist like Rajendra Dhawan. No, their markets did take a bit of a dip because the 2005-2006 escalation was too much on adrenaline rather than knowledge or passion.
And we couldn't sustain it. The
so
market
we couldn't sustain it. So since, of course, like 10 years, 15 years down the line, I think the market has matured somewhat.
I think it has become more organized, and there are some people who are responsibly doing it.
Correct. So I think gradually it is getting better and better. I think there's still a long way to go, because in certain ways, growing up at the gallery in the 80s and the 90s, as a kid I've seen that people, for a painting of 20,000 or 15,000 or even 10,000, they would actually make us take out 300 works and then choose that one artwork of 10,000 rupees, but which also felt nice because there was an interaction. You used to enjoy interacting with those newer clients who were buying with so much passion. Today you do much larger transactions and it's much easier, but it's all based on the brand or the artist's name more than what people really like. It's all about numbers. Like, I have friends and I have family telling me that you invest for us, and I'm like, at least see what you're buying, because art is meant to be loved and seen.
But now the art market is being played, you know.
Correct.
There are lots of players like the auction houses, the galleries, and international representation here in India.
So
also makes a lot of market plays accordingly.
Correct.
So in the similar way, don't you think that even promoting an artist as a gallerist and a trader, you do trade with auction houses. What do you still would want to go back to? Would you want to do a one-on-one selling, or would you like to, still trade?
So I think all facets are important, because like I said, back in the day when you were transacting at 20,000 or 15,000, even though money value has changed as well, but still that could be just for passion. Today, when you expect someone to pay even 5 lakhs, forget about Souzas and Razas with spending in crores. It cannot be all about passion. There has to be a proper market science towards it. People need to be secure that once they're spending this sort of an amount, their investment is secure. So I think all facets, whether it's auction houses, whether it's dealers, whether it's galleries. But yes, I do still think that for us as one of the older galleries, or for other galleries which have been there for some time, I think that responsibility of establishing newer artists will remain a very important aspect of the art market, because that's something which my dad would always say also, that for the art movement to perpetuate in the country, you do need to find and nurture new talent always.
And he was very much instrumental in making all the masters of today.
Correct. Of course, at that time the scenario was also a little different, because there was a very rich community. Like between, there was just 1 or 2 galleries, and with our gallery at least, we were lucky that way, that with Swaminathan and with Souza and with a lot of these other artists, Swamiji especially being the mentor for a lot of artists in that generation, silos before that during my grandfather's time. But because there was a community, there would be a lot of interaction, and they would constantly be discussing which is a new artist, not only in Delhi but across India, who's doing well, like maybe a Bikash in Calcutta in the 70s or a Vivan Sundaram in Delhi. And there would be that discussion that, okay, let's get them a show at Dhoomimal, and everything would happen with a lot of interaction, not only for visual arts but even other forms of art, whether Mr. Amjad Ali Khan would be performing at a Sohan Kadri show.
Or poetry readings.
Yeah, poetry readings are very frequent. When Octavio Paz came, there was a seminar, or Richard Bartholomew with his constant photography, and there was just a very rich exchange.
And you also did some auctions which were basically for charity, and that's how it began.
Correct. We've been doing with Rotary and with Roundtable. Recently we also did something with CAD, and so we've been doing these charity auctions for a while. And like I said, the dealership is an important aspect. It is what today, but somewhere I would want people to kind of not only buy for namesake, and somewhere also like, or somewhere also enjoy what they're buying. It shouldn't be, and for that,
I think most importantly, Uday, what comes with Dhoomimal is the trust and the assurance that probably each collector or a buyer gets,
Correct.
Where you keep talking about, you emphasize on the provenance, you do your due diligence, you have teams working with Dhoomimal who try and get whatever published works.
So which is why, of course, like in our parents' time, and which is what they always told me, that hold on to what you've kind of inherited, because those are works that you bought directly from artist studios, and the confidence that you have in those works you will never get from anything that you buy from the secondary market. You still try and do your due diligence.
So
to
that's
your
a very
best.
important learning.
Correct.
What else?
Correct.
What else?
So you try and do the best due diligence that you can. You're buying from reputed auction houses or reputed dealers, or sometimes old collectors also who have been. But still there are occasions where you might slip occasionally, or you might have some sort of a scenario which is not 100% certain in certain ways. But I do feel also what galleries and what players in the art industry overall need to do is take owners for what they are selling. Like, we've always had a policy, and at least I always say that in the open as well, that anything that has my signature or anything that we sold at Dhoomimal, we will always be happy to take it back with no questions asked, because that is the confidence.
And I think, when we've had conversations and discussions or debates, you have very emphatically come through by usage of technology in the coming times, how you would want to do that. And in fact, what I think Dhoomimal is practicing is the holograms stickers that has been
Correct. We've come up with these holograms which have 8 unique features, and they're tamper proof, and they have these features that no one's put, and we're putting each sticker has two like the same serial number as 2 stickers. One goes behind the artwork, one goes behind on the certificate. So you can always try and put up these sort of things. And like I said, today even a lot of auction houses have stopped giving these certificates, and the number of days in which people can challenge is getting lesser and lesser. But I do feel that we do need to work more as a community as well, because right now is just very, how do you say, like, people are also very insecure in certain ways. And I do agree that the fake art market is a big problem, and it's big in numbers, and it is happening. But I do feel that somewhere that trust within the industry also needs to be built. We all do need to work as a community, because because it's become very easy to make a loose comment on anything that comes up.
Yeah.
Like recently, one of my school friends, and this was a Souza that we had personally bought from Souza's studio many years back in New York, and then it had sold to a German collector, and it was coming back directly from the German collector. And it was offered to a school friend of mine, and that school friend checked with another gallery overseas, and that gallery very conveniently said that, oh, Souza has never used red colors like these. And I mean, it's just a very loose comment, something which we bought directly
That's why
from the
I said,
artist
the
studio.
whole responsibility of
Correct.
gallerists
And from the
everything.
same gallery, we had bought a Satish Gujral some years back, which did not have an artist certificate or something, but they had exhibited the work in 2005. And through the same channel, through the same friend, when we were getting it, I was like, okay, if they've exhibited in 2005, that's good enough if a reputed. So I feel somewhere we do need to get that trust back also. I do understand that the values are very high, and I do understand that there are problems of fake in the market. There are complete publications of fake works which might be coming out.
Don't you think, this problem of fakes and incorrect works, we dissuade buyers because we probably make them think twice about it.
Exactly.
So if some permanent solutions come to it,
so
are you
I
looking
mean,
into
we've been
something like that?
advocating a body for the longest time as well, because I know the art market is very territorial, and all galleries would want certain this thing for themselves. But I do feel that maybe today someone like Mrs. Nadar or someone which is not a gallerist as such, or not a seller in the market as such, can play that role of getting the different players in the market together and have that one common voice, like where, I mean, there could be mistakes. I'm saying even the best of us could make mistakes, but at least there should be one common voice. It shouldn't be that everyone, according to their convenience, puts in something like a loose comment here and there, because that leaves people trying to get into art, especially younger collectors. It leaves them very dissuaded.
Confused
because the values are not small, and like all other industries, whether it be jewelry, whether it be other, like even luxury brands, you do get certificates, you do get certain things which, so the art market right now is susceptible to that just because we don't have a common voice. I think that is definitely something, it's always my word against your word sort of a thing.
So that lacuna needs to be put
Correct.
into
So of course, do
organized...
individual efforts, like you mentioned, we are doing these holograms, we are trying to bring in more scientific technology towards the authentication of artworks. But yeah, I do feel we do need more of a common voice as an industry, whether it's artists, whether it's galleries, auction houses. We should back each other up instead of
individually taking
instead
it
of
up,
trying to. And the art market is only starting. If we see the world art market, the numbers are 400 times bigger than the Indian art market, or even Chinese art market is huge that way. So there's a huge potential to grow, but I think it's better if everyone grows together rather than everyone trying to just do it for themselves, running others down sort of a thing.
Coming back to the passion that the gallery has had and the associations with artists, this year happens to be the F.N. Souza's centenary year. And I'm glad that Dhoomimal has aggressively taken it right from the first month of the year. So tell us more about, why did you think that you wanted to do the centenary for him? And
so Souza, of course, was one of the, Souza and Swaminathan, of course, silos in Germany during Ram Babu's time, my grandfather's time, and then Swaminathan and Souza during my dad's time. Gade Saab also were the 2-3 artists that were really the backbone of the gallery. Of course, different characteristics. Swaminathan was more of a mentor and he carried the whole art space with him. Souza was more of a revolt and kind of was more of a loner.
You like Souza's work, and you have them all over the place in the house.
So I've of course been hugely impacted by his work, and it's been a major part of his collection. And I think another reason for us having major Souza collection as opposed to a lot of other artists is also because of Mom, because during Dad's time, I think as a gallery and as the major gallery, transactions are very frequent. So while all artists, whether it be Swaminathan, whether it be Gade, Jogin Chaudhary, Bikash Bhattacharya, all were selling through the gallery, but there was that constant buying, selling, Manu Parekh, Paramjeet Singh. But after Dad's premature passing away, I think Mom also really believed in Souza's work and really liked Souza's work. And for her, the gallery was not a business, but more of a legacy which needed to be carried on for generations, or for our generation.
And emphatically,
the
with the
generations
purpose.
further. So for her, art was never about buying and selling. So the collection that she did, which was mostly Souza's, maybe because of the parity, maybe because of the dealing, or maybe let's give it to her vision as well. She collected a lot of these Souzas which would just go under her bed and which would never come out in the market for sale, and which is also a reason why we actually got a major collection of Souza passed on to my generation, as opposed to a lot of other artists that we dealt with earlier, because in that time, like I said, they would be transacted often.
But this is so close. Like, I was just having a conversation with her just before you, and we were just trying to connect whether the gallery, was she trying to find a direction for the gallery, and how, and you so beautifully put it in an extended word to say, you know, that maybe she felt at that point of time that keeping Souzas and, you know, collecting Souzas in the coming times would be a greater, you know, of use and a vision for the gallery.
Yeah, so like I said, like in fact, because Dad passed away in 89, 90, and that was a very, a turning phase in Indian art, because galleries like Vadera and CC had opened. The artists who were exclusively with Dhoomimal now had other avenues as well. So, and auction houses were coming to India, like Christie Sotheby's, of course, did not have exclusive sales for Indian art, but Indian art was beginning to become part of their international auctions. So these auction houses did come to Mom as well, like they say Patrick Bowring, when he was starting his, or when he was with Sotheby's, they did come to the gallery and they looked at artworks for almost 2-3 days, and after that he told Mom that, okay, can we discuss prices now? And she's like,
so we should be actually be thankful and grateful to her, because she held on to it. We can see it today.
Correct. So there's always, art will always have that, I mean, and like I said, both sides are important. I won't say that the commerce side is not important, because if those transactions would not have happened, or auction houses would not have started taking prices to newer levels, so much attention or so much interest for people would not have been generated. And again, as a gallery, like even today, that is one of the biggest challenges we face, because at Dhoomimal we've always had this policy of being hospitable, and the artists have been equally kind to us and equally generous to us with their support, but we've always had this thing of not having like, how do you say, to support anyone who picks up art.
But
is
I
been
believe
a policy.
you're now doing some residencies and the
Correct.
With
so of course
artists.
the Ravi Jain Memorial Foundation was set up by Mom in 91 as a homage to Dad, to nurture new talent. And that platform has given us some great talent in form of Hemraj, Iranna, Nidhi Agarwal, Sonia Khurana. There are lots of names in 30 years which have either participated or won. Somewhere I do feel that we do need to do more with these artists, but as the numbers grow, it's more and more challenging, because as a 85-year-old, more than 85-year-old gallery, there are of course a lot of artists that have been associated with the gallery, and that's been a strength, but that's also been a challenge or a slight criticism for the gallery always, that we are not objective enough, or we are too supportive
to cater to them.
Or like we kind of we include, like we're not exclusive enough, we're too much for inclusion, and we try and include a lot of artists across genres, but somewhere we don't want to completely do away from it as well, because like I said, auctions and the dealership only focuses or only talks about a very small number of artists, and there's a majority of other artists who've had significant contributions to the art world over the years, and they should not be forgotten. They should be remembered. They, like again, there was this one senior artist from Rajasthan who'd once come to the gallery, and he's like, we'd gone to another gallery and we wanted to show our work to the galleries, but we were told at the reception that no, आपका appointment है. So we said no, we'll go to Dhoomimal, उधर खाना भी मिलेगा और वो हमारा काम भी देखेंगे. Or we had like no, I've had instances even in my reign that there'll be an artist coming from Chennai just out of the blue and say that I've heard that you help artists, and so that at some time
we know you have been contributing.
And we feel happy about it, and like I said, sometimes it is challenging because in today's times there's just so much to choose from. You do want to be more like you want your shows and your collection to be more curated, but somewhere I would like to find this hybrid sort of a model wherein we do of course have these exclusive artists that are represented by the gallery and that are focused on, but at the same time through the Ravi Jain Foundation or something, we do continue to support and help various artists, and it doesn't need to be only younger artists, because there are lots of mid-career and senior artists, like I said, who've spent 30, 40, 50 years in the art field, and they've been working, like we recently came across Mr. Rajeshwar Rao in Hyderabad. So there are lots of these artists who haven't got that platform or who haven't, like they've been known, they've been doing well, but in this whole rut of the dealership and the auction market and just those few names being heavily focused on, we do need more commercial success for them as well. I think it is getting better. Like there are artists like K.M. Adimulam, Achyutan Kudalur, Rajendra Dhawan, who even did Appa Naidu. There are lots of names, Bimal Das Gupta, who are now, people are wanting to go beyond these 10 names.
I mean, we were really surprised.
So people are wanting to go beyond these 10, 15 names that have dominated the auction market, mainly the Progressive Artist Group and some associates later. People are now wanting to recognize these artists who had valuable contribution, someone like a B.C. Sanyal. In fact, just a day before, a Silos Mukherjee sold for over 1 crore, which wasn't a large work. So, I mean, there are instances of the market waking up to the contribution of these artists who were relatively overlooked, at least in the commercial sense, which is a good thing. But yes, I do think there needs to be a more organized effort on the gallery's part to have exclusivity.
So that was my next thing to you was, don't you think that when you sit alone sometimes, don't you think that it's again a responsibility that, have you thought about it? Maybe your dad did think about it to build these masters.
Correct.
Now for the coming generations, you know, even our mid-segment contemporary artists, senior contemporary artists, we haven't done justice to them.
Correct.
So as a gallerist and as a legacy that you've taken forward, this is one area that seriously needs to be thought about.
Correct. At that time there was such a strong community, so with artists like, especially Swaminathanji under his mentorship, and also critics like Shantu Datta and K.B. Goyal, there was a lot of interaction and discussion. So this onus of curation and this onus of selecting the lineup that gallery represents was kind of taken care of in an automated way, because automatically they would discuss that, okay, Vivan is a good young artist coming up, or Bikash is a good young artist coming up in Calcutta, and accordingly they would have that show at the gallery. So today, of course, there's more of a clutter and we don't have these exclusive artist representation. It's more of a dealership model. So as a gallery, you do need to work with more curators. You of course need to, and I think we've come to a stage where it's more important to choose what not to show than to decide what to show, because there's so much of it, and in some ways it's nice and encouraging that different forms of art also. I was just like this time even at the Venice Biennale, I noticed fabric was something which was used extensively as a form of art, but a few years back when I come to think of it, it was almost considered crafty to use
I
things
see.
like fabric or other textile mediums might
there is
be
a change in
considered
the
crafty.
mindset and
So
the
today
acceptance.
people are more accepting of different forms of art, whether it be installations, photography, textile, which is good, but which is also a challenge, because then the curation becomes all the more important. Like whether it's digital art, whether it's other forms of art, you do need to be careful, that still fine line between
I think each demands a specialization and the
correct.
understanding of the
Correct. So
medium.
I think the key is, like, we definitely as a gallery right now, my biggest challenge or the biggest objective that I want to do in the next 2 years is to find that lineup again for the gallery, which used to be there. We always had a strong lineup of artists in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Even now it's there, but somewhere there has been, over the years, there's been a lot of overlap between different forms of art. So to get that clear representation of certain artists and a clear lineup that the gallery represents, I think that definitely we want to. And it doesn't necessarily have to be only young artists. Like we discussed, there are lots of mid-career to senior artists who haven't got their due, like we mentioned Bimal Das Gupta or BC Sanyal, Rajendra Dhawan, Achyutan Kudalu. These are all artists who made significant contributions, like had serious following over the years, but for whatever reasons commercially they've not found the success or the presence they should have in the market. So I think that is definitely something one is looking to do, that apart from the dealership model, that you get a good Souza Raza Hussain, which you trade, that pretty much doesn't need the expertise of a gallery. That can happen today over a laptop or over a phone. But the whole reason to have a gallery is to have your own artist representation and to nurture them and to give them that sort of place in the market.
Yeah, and give them something for the forward generations to even look into.
Correct.
Because I'm sure even art, since the mediums are developing, even the styles are developing, the approach of the artists are developing, which is like using more technology or Photoshops or whatever, various other things. So the true art, I think, lies still a certain era, I think.
Yeah, and it's also personal. Like again, in India, things like stamp collection or coins collections have been such an old phenomenon. Or it could be of many things. It could be of stakes. It could be of cars. It could be various things that people have been. And same thing with art. That just the habit of collecting, and today, especially in the digital age, I think the whole thing of archiving and the whole thing of collections overall, I think is a very good thing to be encouraged. And it could be personal, like not every, and I think it's even more than anything else, because jewelry or property or lifestyle things, I feel there's still a certain amount of generalization that we can do. But I think art is something very personal. Like some people might like something completely abstract or something.
And very passion driven.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, and people do need to realize that importance, that in art collection, that personalized choices will always remain a key factor, and not to follow trends blindly, that okay, just because an artist is doing well at an auction, we need to just blindly follow that.
Yeah. Another thing that you keep mentioning is that the artists community was more connected during those times when there was letter writing and postcard writing, than now when we try and see them, glued to their own studios, individually working and.
So I think it was a common objective of the community to popularize art. Like even Tayyab Mehta and Swaminathan were not very fond of each other. Yet when there was a critical write-up on Tayyab's art, Swaminathan made it a point next day to do an article praising Tayyab's art, of how great an artist he was. So at that time there could be these personal niggles, or there could be these issues which were blown up, like there could be terrible fights or something, but everybody respected each other's contribution to the whole agenda of popularizing Indian art. Like everyone was for that. There could be
the goal was one.
Yeah, like today I feel, but whether it's the artists, whether it's the galleries, whether, like we said, it's so easy to make that loose comment on someone's collection, or it's so everyone's trying to do their bit, but that community doesn't exist, that one common voice. It's everyone's voice against others' voice sort of a thing. So I think that, yeah, like the community should kind of come back in some way,
And we need
some
to
form.
bind again together
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, take this whole thing of...
Yeah, especially if we want to have a world presence.
Yeah, together. So thank you, Uday. It was lovely talking to you. And, you know, more interestingly, the passing on of the batons and the relay is still on with your two sons who might just take it forward. And now Sunaina trying to be part of the gallery and, you know, interestingly looking after contemporary side of the collection. So we wish all of you and Dhoomimal great luck. Before I end, I would like you to say a few words about what have you felt about being at Chaibrary today, or what do you think about this platform?
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Kiran, and I do think that it's a fantastic endeavor because, you know, like again, while growing up, there used to be this thing called Kala Parikrama on Doordarshan, and today that's the only archive we have of a lot of artists. In fact, for me personally, even for my father, like from a lot of exhibitions that he was interviewed in, since we lost him when I was a small child, I've not seen him interact too much, or I've not had that interaction too much with him, but at least through that archive you get to, you know, share some ideas of what they thought at the gallery or how the exhibitions were held. So I think going forward, even the current generation right now which is being archived, or senior artists that are being archived, I think it's the best gift we can give to the whole community. And like I said, today it's not restricted to just visual arts, all different forms of art you all are interacting with, all different forms of collectors, collections, all that is coming to the fore. So I think it will become an excellent archive. And now with that time we only had personal VCRs and the personal sets that we could see it on, but today with digital platforms through YouTubes and through Instagrams and various digital mediums, the world is the platform, and, you know, like such archive and such discussions could reach out to the world. So I think it's a very healthy development to have.
So thank you so much and contributing such a lovely talk and an interesting conversation.
Thank you so much.
So this is it from the sets of Chaibrary, and thank you for watching. Do continue watching us, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to hit the bell icon. See you very soon again with another episode of a very, very interesting conversation. Thank you once again.